practically into the UI part, which is the JSX part. Yeah. So in the earlier classes, I think we have discussed what exactly is a prop. So today a bit continuation of few more syntaxes with respect to the component. Yeah. So we'll have an overview of all the different syntax with respect to props. If you remember, I've told in React, yeah, if at all we want to communicate data to a component, specifically child to parent. Yeah. So this syntax or this notation what we are discussing now, if at all I am sending child, yeah, to a child I am passing some data, then this is going to be helpful. What is it? That's called props. Yeah, so I think you all can see my screen. So I would like to pass some data to the child, and this communication is possible only between parent to child. Yeah, so what is the meaning of that? Okay, so let me create two more components like this. Okay, function, yeah, component one or a child one, yeah, which does something. So let's say return. For now it will do child one. Let's display simple component like this, and let's create child two, just almost ditto as this. So quickly we'll instantiate child two with the name child two. Now how do I render these two components? Yes, in React, as I've told you, there will be one parent component under which all the components should come. It's like a tree. Okay, so now I should use child1 slash, and then now child1 will display, child2, the child2 will display. So both are displayed. This is how it is displayed. Now I am saying, let's say I would like to pass some data. Yeah, for example, app as a component got, you know, to, yeah, name one. Okay, so name one. Okay, we have two components. So let's say we'll take name two. So I would like to name each of the child. Okay, so the first child, let's say this is, yeah, this is, let's call it alpha. This first child is alpha, second child is beta. Now how do I pass the data? You know, I can use any attribute name, yeah, any property. So though it looks like an attribute, this we call it as a property in JSX. Yeah, so this is a property. Now where is this defined? No, this is where I'm passing with this name. So the first child I'm calling it alpha, and the second child I'm calling it beta. So for both I am passing the same name, a property with same name, but a different value. Name 1 is different, name 2 is different. Now in previous class we have learned, okay, what exactly is a props, what all can be passed as a props. So can I pass props something which is an object? Now I am telling you a concept where, so since child 1 is a direct children of app, I am able to pass the data to the child 1 via this custom property. This is a custom property. It does not exist already. So if child 1 wants the data, yes, so we can use a destructuring syntax and name 1, yeah. So I can say child 1. We also learned this expression syntax, yeah, the interpolation syntax. Say I'm able to mark it child 1 as alpha. Yeah, so up to the same thing. So now name 2 also I can pass. Yes, I have already passed again with the same property name, so and child 2 name is, I would like to display it, I'll use in the JSX curly bracket to display its name. Now the point I was trying to say, can I pass data from child 1 to child 2? From this component can I pass it to the child 2? Not
No, sir, not possible.
Not possible. Okay, so props passing is not possible. Let's say what if I would like, can I, what if I'm rendering a child 2 inside child 1? Yeah, so here I will pass, I can even render another child component, let's say child 2. Can I render like this? Possible. Inside child 1 I'm rendering child 2. Fine. Now in this case, can I pass data from app to the child 2? Can I pass the data from app directly to the child 2? Not possible. So it should be an immediate parent. Let's say you pass on some name, then again I can pass it as name here. Now see, whatever name you pass from here, from app to child it passed. From again child 1 to child 2, we are passing the prop. This is how to the deeply nested component you can go on passing the data. Alright, so we know most of the props concept. So let's understand what else is left out here. Okay, uh, reading the props, passing props to a component. I think this is all I've told you. Specifying a default value for a prop. I think this is what we wanted to discuss, which we didn't discuss. So, so let's say now I have, yeah, in this case itself, we'll understand the syntax. What is the concept? Default value for a prop, which means, yeah, default value for a prop. So we know that functions also have a concept of default value for a parameters. What it means? It means simply if I am supposed to at the time of invoking or calling that function, it is expecting some parameter a comma b. Now I am not sending it. Yeah, let me write one example. With that I'll try to tell you what it is. So most of you are familiar with this. If not, you will understand. So let's say I have to write a function add and a comma b. All I'm doing is return a plus b. What happens if I just, for this function I only call add 10? Will it work? I mean, it is working, but are you getting the right value? No, you're not getting a proper value, correct? So for this case, so let's say if b is missed by default, I can provide some initial value or a default value. If there is no explicit value, then b is going to take this default value. And we have already, understood how this concept. Now see, if you add 10, 10 will come. If you add 10, 20, 30 will come. The same concept comes in React. So for a component, let's say I am supposed to pass name to this child one. I don't pass this. I miss it. I omit. Then how do I put a default value? Yes, in the destructuring we have learned that it is possible to, you know, provide a default value in destructuring. If you remember, okay? So yeah, there's a video about it. You please watch. Okay, if you have not understood this. So I can pass in some or I can initialize some default value to this name prop. Same thing I can do here. If I don't pass name to this, child 2, again I can do some initial value. Child 2 is beta. If not named, it is beta. Yeah. So this way of in default, to the any prop. Okay, not only for the first prop, second prop. So many over prop. If you want some value, if you think your result is going to go wrong, just like in this example, what happens if I don't initialize it to 0? You all understood it's not a good case, correct? Right? It became add now, fine. But without default value, you understood result is not something that you would like to have. Yeah, so those kind of mandatory parameters, you can provide some default value and you can expect some. That way you will handle the corner cases also. Okay, I have a question. Yeah, Mani.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Sir, here I am not using individual property. Okay. If I am use props, how can we pass default value for the props instead of using
Okay,
this individual property?
so if at all, okay, then okay, now the question is what if destructuring is not there? I am simply having props as an object.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay, now this will actually again tell you the answer for again tell you the answer for why we need destructuring. If you remember the other day I told you about what is destructuring. Now if name, I am expecting name. If name is not there, how do I check if name is there or not? So I'll check if props dot name is there. If not, then I'll provide the name as alpha. This is how the syntax will become. Yeah,
Yes,
this is
sir.
how the syntax will become, and now you pass the name as from here. You see what name you are going to get. So instead of doing all this lengthy part, okay, now let me write the same syntax using destructuring. Okay, how const name is equals to props. This also we can write. Here, how do I initialize the default value to the property? I can give alpha here also. See what I did? I just did a formatting, but all I'm doing is this is an object, I'm sure. That's why I've written curly bracket. And I would like to extract this property. If this property does not exist in that props object, then you assign this value to this property.
Yes, sir. Understood.
Now, so what we have done, we have just shorted it, and we have just moved this part, we have cut this part and directly put here. That's all in the terms of the syntax. Okay, okay. Moving on. Uh, Specifying default values done. Forwarding props with JSX spread syntax. There is a syntax called spread, and I think I told you about these three parameters. I mean, sorry, three dots earlier. Okay, so there is one syntax called spread and another syntax called rest. Yeah. So if you remember in destructuring, I have told you this syntax as well. So in the destructuring, if you remember, while we are destructuring, yeah. So while we are destructuring both in case of array as well as, yeah, array as well as object, we have told, let's say, what if I have a value like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now what happens to, if I just only take a and b into separate variable, what happens to the remaining values? So they're all lost actually because they're not stored in a variable. So we can collect into a variable using these three dots. And this operator is called rest operator. So I'll say remaining. In short, I'll rename it remaining because many of you, if I write rest, then you will confuse. I have to write rest everything. No, you can give anything. Okay, you can say XYZ, but you have to immediately after this triple dot, you have to write the name of the variable. Then you see what is there in XYZ. XYZ will be an array with three values. So that's why this operator is called rest, meaning it will collect the rest. But in JavaScript, there is an opposite syntax to this, which is called spread. What is the syntax? Spread. I'll make a detailed video, I think, in the next JavaScript class talking about all these things. But for now, since we are visiting this concept, I'm going to explain. Fine. So what is it? Now, let's say I want to create an array, but then you know that I have things in XYZ, correct? And XYZ is an array. So let's say I want to add something to the XYZ, comma, okay. 10, 20. Now can you tell me what will be there if I write this? Earlier in XYZ, what we have? It's an array with so and so. Now I'm trying to do what? I'm trying to do dot 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 and then XYZ. This is not destructuring. Now the dot 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 is not in the left side but dot 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 in the right side. Whenever it is in the right side, it means we're actually reading the value from it. Whenever it is in left side, it means we are assigning the value to this XYZ. I'm just telling you a simple way to remember the syntax. Now see what happens in ARR. What happened? 3, 4, 5, 7, 10. So this value got expanded. That expansion is actually called as spreading. So I've spread the values of this array into one more array. I can also spread it like here itself. Instead of an array, I can spread it anywhere. Oh, sorry, I think I cannot directly do it. So let's say if I do console.log, then it will work. So spreading is kind of destructuring, rest is kind of accumulating it. Alright, so now I think let's understand this syntax. Now we are saying, now we're having a different example now. Let's take the same case of this component. Yeah, this component syntax, child1, child2 have. Imagine for a child1, I have to pass so many properties. And it's in an object. Name is there, alpha, okay, and then gender, let's say, male. Now how do I pass these two as an attribute to the child one? Sorry, I'm again saying attribute. It is not attribute, we should call it property. Yeah, how do I pass this thing as a property to the child one? So one option we know is, yes, I can give some name, custom name like name. So say data.name. And if I have gender, then maybe data.gender, because that's why these objects are in this. Now is there any other way to write this, passing this data to the child one component? Anybody knows? How do I pass the data? Other way of, or a simple way of passing the data to the child one component, the data. This is one example, passing individual property from each of the object. The other syntax we have is, I can pass the whole object. I can say data is equal to data. So this way, now the whole data is being sent, whole object is being sent. This is the second way to pass the data. Yeah, but then there is one more way. Okay, so one more way which is equivalent of this first one. This is the first case. This is another way, but I can write this in a lot more simple way. Let me show you how. So that syntax is, let's say again child one, fine, but now using the just now understood spread syntax, I can put two curly bracket and then I can say dot dot data. What I can write? Dot dot data. Now whatever is there in data, that gets expanded here, which is as equal as you writing these lines. I mean this syntax, first line. The first and the second line are almost equal, but as you can see, the second line is very concise, simple, and also it is extensible. Why it is simple, extensible? Let's say tomorrow I get another property. Yeah, I'll add another 10 properties to this object. My syntax which is written here is not going to change at all. But here you will have to end up adding another attribute. Section, data dot section. See, it becomes lengthy. So in real world, when we take components, we will not have three simple properties. We will have so many properties. Getting what I'm saying? To a components, we will pass multiple properties. Again, depends on the completely on the component what it is doing. For example, if I can show you one real component, I'll show you, which is out of a library. Let me show you that component. Okay, it could be as simple as, let's take one component like button. Simple component called button. You see the different props this button is taking. What is it? Button props. Yeah. So let's see the button props. How many props we are having? See, button has type. Button has icon spacing. Button has is active. Button has is disabled. Button is loading. Left icon, loading test, right icon, size, spinner. See the list? It's a very big list. Yeah. For a simple box component, yeah, or a button component. What we did is a button component. So likewise, components will accept so many props because based on that information, see you can see the example here. Now there is a color scheme passed. For this color scheme, size is passed. For this button, yeah, maybe some more variations are there. So you see, for a simple box, how many properties they have listed. This is a box, okay. This is also again accepting a lot of properties. Now, this syntax of passing all the property at one go using the rest only works if they are part of an object. What is it? If the data you want to pass is already in an object, then this will work. Otherwise, this will not work. You will have to pass like this only, individually, separately. But let's say all this data is coming from an object. Then it becomes easy. Yeah. So this is one syntax, okay. So this is what with the spread syntax how you can actually pass. All right. Okay, so next thing is passing JSX as a children. If you remember, again I'm just repeating this. So you all know that there is a special prop called children prop. What is the syntax? It's called children prop. If you remember, I already told, I'm just repeating. So let's say I would like to display something, yeah, between this opening of child 1 and the closing bracket of child 1. Yeah. So here I would like to pass something. Okay. This is a body of child 1 component. Or here also I can write, for example, I would like to have a button. A button is submit, for example. Now this is all, you know, is available to child 1 as a as a prop. This information, whatever you pass. Let's say you want to pass even child 2 also here. So whatever you pass between opening and closing brace of that component goes as a children prop. There's a special prop called children. How do you say? Now let's come to this and try to log console.log props. Okay, we are not. So I'll use again the spread syntax. Sorry, rest syntax. I can collect the remaining things into props. What is it? I can collect the remaining things into props using what? This syntax is called rest. Okay, so you'll have confusion, but you have to practice it. Then only you will understand what is spread and what is rest. But there will be one video from my side, okay, which will explain. And if you're still not clear and you want now itself, yes, you can see javascript.info. Okay, here we have got a syntax called spread and rest. Just right available. Yeah, here 6.2 rest parameter and spread syntax. All right. So with that, let's see what is there in the props and show the console. You can see now there is, you see props.children. Okay, you see this props actually, and I think I'll, for your better understanding, I'll write the name of the property which is called children, and you see what all is coming in the children. So the children is coming as three array elements. What we are getting? This is all passed as an array. Yeah, this is all passed as an array, and this is goes first element of the array. This goes as second element of the array, and this goes as third element of the array. What do you say? Yes, as you can see here in the console, I am just logged what is coming in props.children. You see, this is a component, this is a component. You see, yeah, this is also a component, and this is also a component. Yeah, and all these things are coming as an array. So soon we will also learn, okay, soon we will also learn how, something which is passed as an array is going to get displayed actually. You see now I have passed something like this. So props.children has an array syntax like this. Okay, now check three elements which are actually being passed part of the array. Okay, so what I'm saying is there is a special prop called children. Okay, and you can pass explicitly, but if you implicitly, if you type something between the opening and closing, yeah, so let's say this is para. Now you see the value, there is no array. If you write one more, if you write one more element, be it button, paragraph, input, anything, then that children prop will be converted as an array. Yeah, this prop is converted as an array, as you can see here right now. So now the prop has one this para, and this is the object for input. So more than an object, this is a React element, we can say. Okay, this is a React element. All right, so this is what is the children prop. And if you still remember, I have told you, yeah, it's the same children can also be written like directly by passing the same name explicitly. This is called explicitly. You want to pass something as a children. That's also possible. Okay. How props change over a time? Okay, this is the last thing that we need to understand about, like what exactly is a props. But before that, let me also tell you, yeah, in terms of syntax. Let me also tell you in terms of syntax. So let's say I would like to pass in some, I would like to pass in some stringed data. Okay, so we have not discussed much on the different primitives, that we pass. I think this is also you should remember. So let's say I want to pass some, count, which happens to be a number. How do I pass? If I have to pass a value directly here, should I put in single quote? I have to pass count 0. So all I'm trying to say now, how do we pass different primitive values? Okay, let me just do a console log of props.count. See what happens. Okay, this becomes count 0. I'll show you the same syntax. Let me repeat this line, but then assume like I would like to pass it as a string. This I am passing it as a string. Yeah, is it going as a string? No. Then what? It is getting evaluated. So if at all I have to pass a string 0, okay, this should be the syntax. Yeah, you can directly write this actually. If it is a string and it's a value, you can directly write like this. If it is a number, the syntax is actually use two curly brackets and put 0. So let's say if I try to put like this, it see already shows an error. It's already highlighting in red. So all I'm saying is when you are passing a number value or numeric value as a prop, you will have to put curly bracket when you are passing inline value. This I am telling you the syntax of inline value, meaning you are passing the value and the component itself, the component prop directly. Let's say all this data is part of all this data is part of a variable, then this whatever I'm going to tell you is not going to be applicable. It is up to this variable whether it holds string or not. If it is a string, then we'll write it in quote. If it is a number, we directly write like this. If it's a boolean, again we write like this. But now the context I'm explaining is, so let's say I would like to have directly pass an integer, then yeah, then it becomes 0. So I think instead of displaying props.count, let me show the type of actually. That will be the right thing, na? Correct? That's what we are looking at right now. So if I pass 0, then you see it is printing as number. If I pass this, it is coming as string. Because in the component when it is received, the type is becoming string. Let's say for the same component, I would like to pass in a boolean value. So should I pass like this true? No, will not work. Yeah, pass it using curly bracket. Only for string, we will not need this curly bracket. If at all I'm passing directly, that time we don't need a curly bracket. Let's see what happens when I'm putting curly bracket. With the value you are not able to distinguish. Do you see any difference now? With curly bracket and without curly bracket? In both the case, it is still a string. Yeah. So you will see a lot of syntax where we will directly write, okay, this is so and so. Yeah. But when it comes to number and a boolean, you have to put the curly bracket. As a beginner, you will have a lot of confusion, okay, whether when to use curly bracket. I'm seeing they're not using it. Yeah, you see, they've used size is equal to 100. If you want it to be a number, put it curly bracket. But if you don't, if you pass it like this by mistake, then it is string. It is not a number. Then you have to do the extra work of converting here. Whenever count comes, you have to convert it. And you know what happens if you don't convert and convert. Okay, so the last point says how props change over time. So let's say we have a component like something like clock and it is receiving two props, color and time. And this component, okay, is being rendered in an app component and all. Now you see if I change, the time as per the time click, yeah, you see that it is keep updating. So what it is simply telling this example, props will, receive a different props over the time. Don't expect that, don't expect that props will be same. Yeah. So you have to, yeah, you can think of like, okay, props can keep changing in the same component. Yeah, the parent can keep sending different values and you're able to see that different values being updated. Another very, very important concept. Props are immutable. Yeah, what it simply means, let's say I've received it props, yeah, I've received the prop count. Can I update this? Can I update this props directly here? Props dot count is equal to 10. Can I update? Can I overwrite? Yeah. So let's see what happens here. Yeah, okay, interesting. We are seeing the, we are seeing the answer. Just a second, just a second. I don't pass any value. I don't pass any value to this. This is, okay, whatever is being passed. Now I update it, 10, 10, 10. Okay, so what I just said, props are immutable, which means you're not supposed to change. Yeah, see, see the explanation they've given. Don't try to change the props. Yeah, so we think now, okay, we got output. Though I changed, yeah, though I changed, it is updated. Yeah, so that you see the information they're given. So when a component needs to change its props, for example, now what we did it props.count is equal to 10. Okay, it will have to ask its parent component to pass it different props. A new object, a new object. Its old props will be then be cast aside and eventually the JavaScript engine will reclaim the memory taken by them. Okay, didn't really follow what they're actually talking about. So one simple thing you have to remember is props are not mutable. You should not change them. Yeah, though you change them for us, like it looks like different. In case you update it within the component, it is telling like as simple as you know the parent object is recreating this child component. Yeah, that's what you're saying. It will have to ask its parent component to pass it to different props. It is as simple as you sending up and then getting it down. Because props object is being passed from the parent. Though you update it, it is like going and then again you're creating a new object. That's why, yeah. So don't try to change the props. You use it, okay? You kind of keep in mind that they are kind of read only. Should not be updating. Okay, so with this, you understand what is called as how components communicate, but the only condition we have for props is there should be a parent-child relation. And I've shown you the different syntax for working with props to the component. Yes, props are very useful. Yeah. So now right now I have told you how do we pass a simple primitive values as we just saw in the end. And then we have also seen how to pass an object, correct? How to pass an object. And then we have seen like, we can pass similar to object, we can even pass array also. I've shown you how to pass different props. I also shown you how to do a use a REST syntax and make the props passing easy. Now just like JavaScript function, this component also, yeah, they also accept variety of values, not just limited to this object and the simple values. I can pass in a whole component itself as an prop. This is all advanced concept, yeah. So just now I am telling you. So you will see some examples like wherein we can pass the whole component itself. Our best example is I think previously I showed you a children prop. We pass so many things in the child, child one. There even the child two object also was there. Yeah, if you remember, child two object was also passed as a children. So what I'm saying is there is no limit on what you can pass as a prop. Yeah, there are a variety of values you can pass, including component. Just like how you can pass a function to a function in a normal JavaScript function. Yeah, one function can take input of another function. Yeah, another function as input. The best example is our callback functions. Component can also accept another component as an prop. So it means there's no limit on what you can pass as a